Welcome to my channel, guys. In this video I'm going to cover the basics on what you need to purchase a kayak for the very first time. So yes, this video is aimed for beginners. So I will go over some points on what you need to look for before you even start looking at a kayak. I'll also go over the points of the differences between different kayaks, and I'll also give you some recommendations towards the end of the video as well on what I would recommend for certain situations. Okay, so the first thing that you need to be looking at before you even start looking and considering a kayak is storage and transportation. So the storage side of things, what you need to be looking at is, where can I be storing this kayak when it's not in use? You might be lucky enough to have a big garage and it can be stored in there, and that's totally fine. Or, you know, you can, like myself, I actually store mine at the side of my house and I have it chained up. So if you don't have a garden or you don't have no front garden, then you need to really consider on where you can actually store this kayak. So that's the first thing that you need to be looking at. The second thing that you need to be looking at is the transportation of your kayak from point A, being in your house or a garage or wherever, to the sea or to the, to a lake or river or canal system. Now, I don't know what it's like where you come from, but here in the UK we do have a law. So if you transport anything on a roof, then it cannot exceed the length of your car any more than 1 metre. So in other words, it cannot overhang your car 1 metre. So what I would recommend to do is just go outside, just measure the length of your car, and then basically, do the maths yourself and just work out, yes, I can actually carry a kayak at 15 foot or 13 foot. But if you're in a really small car like a Fiesta or a smart car that's only 5-6 foot in length, then that does limitate on what kayak you can actually carry legally and safely. So that's the other point that you need to look at. Now, the next thing you need to look at is the weight of the kayak. Now, this can determine on how you are as a paddler, for the simple reason is, can you lift this kayak on your roof of your car on your own? Or are you going to be accompanied by somebody else that can help you lift this kayak up on your roof? So for example, for myself, I basically paddle 90% of the time on my own. So I needed to look at something which is a reasonable weight that I could manageably lift on the roof of the car. So have a look at your own situation, be honest with yourself and say, do you know what? I need something that's going to be reasonably light that I can actually lift myself. I can't always rely on somebody else. So that's another point that you need to be looking at as well. So looking back on it, look at the storage, look where you can actually store your kayak. Number 2, look at your transport. Can you transport this A to B safely and within the law? And thirdly, have a look at the weight of it. Are you a paddler that's going to be paddling on your own? Can you manoeuvre this thing on and off your car on your own? Bearing in mind, if you go out paddling all day, your arms are going to be tired. So those are that's the main structure that you need to be looking at before you even consider looking at a kayak. Okay, now let's talk about the different types of sit-on-top kayaks. So we'll start with a longer, skinnier kayak. I'm talking 13, 14, 15 foot plus. Now, the longer kayak is normally skinnier. What I mean by skinny is the width that you actually sit in. Okay. Now, you're normally talking 28, 29, 30-inch beam. Now, what a longer, skinnier kayak will do is it'll allow you to actually paddle more ground with ease. So it'll be a lot easier to paddle. You'll be able to cover more ground, and you'll have the speed there as well that you can easily maintain between paddle strokes. So the longer, skinnier kayak is aimed for kayakers who want to use it on the sea, big reservoirs, big lakes. Basically, you want to cover a lot of ground, and you want something easier to paddle. That's what the longer, skinnier kayak will offer you. Now, you've also got the shorter kayak. Now I'm talking 9, 10, 11 and maybe possibly up to 12 foot in length. Now what you would normally get on a shorter kayak is an extra, it's not as skinny, it's wider, so that would give you more stability. Now the other difference between a longer kayak and a shorter kayak is the shorter one will give you more manoeuvrability as well. So these kayaks are aimed for your rivers, your creeks, your small lakes, just general use around the coast. So you've got manoeuvrability and stability against speed and more ground cover. So them are the two differences between the two kayaks. So another type of kayak that's become very popular, especially over the past 2 to 3 years, are stand-up kayaks. Kayaks that people actually want to stand up in, or actually sit at a higher elevation. These are made a lot wider. I'm talking a minimum of 32 inches. So that will give you that extra stability to stand up or sit higher. So them are the three main differences between the different sit-on-top kayaks out there. So you've got a longer, skinnier kayak that will allow you to cover more ground a lot more quickly, and it will also make it a lot easier for you to paddle. You've also got a shorter kayak that will give you more manoeuvrability and more stability, and you've also got a stand-up kayak that allows you to sit higher up, and it'll also allow you to stand up on a kayak as well. And I'm talking a minimum of 32-inch beam. So what you've got to do is fit yourself in one of those categories, okay? Now myself, I like to fish on rivers, lakes, the sea, you know, so I'm pretty much an all-rounder, but I don't really stand up on kayaks. So I've gone for a longer boat, because at least I know I'm not undergunned if I go onto the sea. I'm not in an 11-foot boat and I'm going to struggle with my paddle. I've always gone that little bit more, so I know that my kayak will actually cover all the waters that I actually want to paddle. So guys, I hope you found that section useful, and I hope it makes your decision making a little bit more easy, and it's cleared a few things up for you that you had a few question marks over, you know. So I'll now give you some recommendations on some of the kayaks that I know of that are very, very popular here in the UK, and some of them are very popular worldwide. So if you want to cover a lot of ground and you want to use it for the sea and big lakes and reservoirs, then I would recommend a Viking Profish Reload, an Ocean Kayak Trident 13, an Ocean Kayak Prowler, and a Wilderness Systems Thrasher. Those, like I said, those are the ones that are popular here in the UK. If you're somebody that wants to just use it on the lakes, creeks, rivers, canal system, just general use around the coast, then I'll look at a Viking Profish GT, an Ocean Kayak Trident 11, a Tarpon Wilderness System 120. Those are quite popular, like I said, here in the UK. If you're on a tight budget and you're looking for a faster kayak, have a look at the Galaxy Sturgeon. And if you're using it inland, mainly on lakes, etc., on the rivers, have a look at the Galaxy Cruise. Those are two budget kayaks. Now, if you're somebody that wants to stand up on a kayak and you want to sit at a higher elevation, then I would look at the Feel Free lure. I think it's 11.5, and I think they do a 13. You're looking at a Viking GT, which is another stand-up kayak, and you're looking at a Wilderness System Attack. Like I said, those are probably the biggest brand names that you can buy in kayaks, and there's a reason why a lot of people use them, is because you get the stability, you get the manoeuvrability, or you get the speed with them. Check the weights on these kayaks, guys, as well. Remember what I said at the beginning. Can you lift one of these kayaks up on the reef by yourself? Or it doesn't matter, you've got somebody with you anyway who can actually give you a hand. I know there are other kayaks out there, like your Jackson kayaks, your Precision kayaks, and I know there's other ones out there, but I can't recommend something that I don't know a great deal about. The kayaks that I've actually just mentioned, I do know about them. I have paddled these kayaks and they are great kayaks. So again, it all comes down to your own budget. The only differences between a lot of the kayaks that I mentioned is cosmetic. One will offer you more storage than the other. One may offer a little bit more leg room. One will give you a bigger tank wall, bigger storage at the front. So it all comes down then to cosmetics. But once you get the basics of the actual kayak in your head that you want, i.e. length versus stability versus manoeuvrability and speed, then you're pretty much all the way there now anyway to actually purchasing your very first kayak. And it's a fantastic sport. You can see the world at a different perspective, and it's it's something that you look forward to on a Saturday or Sunday or in the week, you know. So I hope this video really does help, guys, and if it does, give it a thumbs up, and check out my other videos. If you like any of them, then give us a subscribe. Any support would be fantastic. Keep safe paddling, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.